June 8, 1998, General Sani Abacha, the most powerful man in Nigeria, was gone. For some, it was the end of an era of fear. For others, it was the collapse of stability. To this day, his name stirs anger and fascination. This is the story of the man who ruled Nigeria with iron, silence, and shadows. He was called the Quiet General, always present, rarely smiling, almost never speaking. Yet behind the silence was ambition and a ruthless instinct for survival. From the 1960s onward, Abacha appeared in the background of every major coup in Nigeria. Each time, he gained more power. Each time, his presence grew harder to ignore. By the early 1990s, he was no longer just a soldier in the shadows. He was waiting for his moment. In 1993, Nigeria held what many believed was the fairest election in its history. Businessman Moshood Abiola was set to win. Hope filled the streets, but before democracy could be born, it was strangled. The election was annulled, and into the chaos stepped Abacha. He promised stability, order, and unity. Days later, he dissolved parliament, suspended the constitution, and declared himself head of state. In a single move, Nigeria's fragile democracy was gone, replaced by military rule, tighter and harsher than ever before.
Immediate effect. The interim national government is hereby dissolved. The national and state assemblies are also dissolved. The state executive councils are dissolved. The brigade commanders are to take over from the governors in their states until administrators are appointed. Where there are no brigade commanders, the commissioners of police in the states are to take over. All local governments stand dissolved. The directors of personnel are to take over the administration of the local governments until administrators are appointed. The National Electoral Commission is hereby dissolved. All former secretaries to federal ministries are to hand over to their director generals until ministers are appointed. The two political parties are hereby dissolved. All processions.
Abacha ruled with iron fists, backed by the sound of marching boots. Opposition leaders disappeared into prisons. Newspapers were shut down. Critics were silenced, often permanently. The most infamous case, Ken Saro-Wiwa, the environmental activist who spoke against oil exploitation in the Niger Delta. He and 8 others were executed in 1995, sending shockwaves across the globe. Nigeria was condemned, sanctioned, and isolated. At home, the people lived under a blanket of fear. Every whisper could be a crime. Every word could be your last. But while the streets trembled under his rule, another story unfolded in secret, a story of staggering wealth. Billions of dollars were siphoned from Nigeria's treasury and stashed in foreign accounts. From Switzerland to London, from Paris to New York, Abacha's fingerprints were on hidden fortunes. Yet, in a strange paradox, Nigeria's foreign reserves also grew. Inflation slowed. For many, life seemed stable if not free. Was Abacha a master thief or an unlikely economic manager? The truth is tangled in corruption, control, and calculation. June 8, 1998, Abacha, just 54 years old, was at the height of his power. By morning, he was dead. The official report said a sudden heart attack. But rumors spread like wildfire. Some whispered of poison tea. Others spoke of a late-night encounter gone wrong. Conspiracy theorists insisted it was an inside job, an assassination by his own circle. To this day, the true cause of his death is cloaked in secrecy. What is certain is this: in a single night, Nigeria's most feared ruler vanished, leaving behind chaos and opportunity. His death opened the door to Nigeria's return to democracy. In 1999, the nation elected a civilian president for the first time in decades. Yet Abacha's legacy refused to die. For years, governments across the world have hunted down the billions he looted. Swiss banks, Jersey Island, Luxembourg. Each year, another fortune traced back to him. Some Nigerians still argue he brought stability, that the economy under his hand was stronger. Others remember only fear, silence, and blood. Even now, Abacha's ghost haunts Nigeria, in politics, in memory, and in money still hidden abroad. General Sani Abacha, to some, a savior. To others, a tyrant. To history, a riddle of power, fear, and greed. The man who ruled Nigeria in silence and left behind a legacy louder than words.
This government has always expressed its commitment to dialogue as a means of resolving our internal differences. We have demonstrated this by our individual and collective efforts at holding consultation at all strata of our society. You will recall that in spite of these overtures and good gestures by government, Chief Moshood Abiola flagrantly perpetuated acts which breached the laws of the land, but government in its magnanimity never gave him serious attention. His most recent action of declaring himself the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria incited the public to insurrection and attempting to topple the government by force with a view to installing himself as president, however led to his arrest by the law enforcement agents. The step taken by the law enforcement agents is a legitimate exercise in the performance of their duties. Government does not and should not interfere in the court process. We have come to the point when the situation can no longer be tolerated. It is in the overall national interest that these unpatriotic acts being perpetuated by the leadership of Nupeng and Pengasing be dealt with decisively. Accordingly, the executive of both unions, the Nupeng and the Pengasing, at both national and state levels are hereby dissolved. This action is with immediate effect. A sole administrator will be appointed immediately to oversee the affairs of both unions.